So let's begin talking about compare instructions. Just like in grade school, you talked about greater than, equal to, less than, right? We can compare two variables and determine the logic if it's true or not. So we'll come over here and we'll start here with a number and an output, and I'll just say true on this output. True. I'll make a new Boolean bit true. We'll create it. We'll come over here to compare, and we'll start with greater than. And so we'll come over here, and I'll just give a source of a int. In fact, there's one in there already, and we can use that one, and we'll use int. What else we got? int1, yeah. So we have these two values right here, and they're just integer files, and we'll assemble that. And so if a, let me blow this up a little bit so everybody can see it. All right. So if A is greater than B, the logic is true. So if I say that A contains a value of 1, it becomes true. Are you good with that? And then we have our less than instruction, which is, yeah, less than. And so if A is less than B, this instruction is true. So we'll put that as in 2, and now it becomes true. And so we can use these to build an on-off controller, but there is another function called a limit instruction that works much better for controlling limits on something. And that is a limit instruction. Notice this one now has a low limit, high limit. So we're going to go in here, and so let's say our low limit is 90 degrees and our high limit is 100 degrees. All right, and we'll say our current temperature is 95 degrees. So as long as I'm between 90 degrees and 100 degrees, this is true. All right, and so a limit instruction works that when the tested value is between the values and are equal to, then the logic is true. If the tested value, low limit, is lower than the high limit. Now that doesn't make a lot of sense. So let me show you how this works. If we're at 90 degrees, it's still true. If we go to 89 degrees, it is not true, right? And if we go to 100 degrees, it is true. And if we go to 101 degrees, it is not true. But what about testing outside the range? I want to test outside that range. How do I do that? Simply make your low limit higher than the high limit. We flipped them, right? Now that it's 190. Now look how it works. Now when it's outside the limit, it's true. If it's equal to, it's not true. If it's 95 degrees, which is in the middle, it is not true. If it's 90 degrees here, it becomes true. And if it goes below, it becomes true. So I could use a limit instruction to fire a heater. Well, not if it was going above, but it's a test instruction. I could use it for alarm. But if I want to test outside of range, I need to have the low limit with a value greater than the high limit. If I want to test inside of range, I need to have the low limit with a value lower than the high limit. Does that make sense? That gives me a range test, which is I can do the same thing with a greater than or equal to and a less than. So I could do the same thing with a
You'd be using 2 of them instead of 1.
and I'd be using 2 of them instead of 1. I could do it with this right here. I wanted to, and just get rid of that. So I could accomplish the same thing with these 2 instructions, or I could use a limit test, which is a little bit easier for people to understand and use. Not 2 of them stacked together. So I could do the same thing with this. And so that's a compare instruction.